Eric Burgess here with Music Marketing TV. Today we're going to be checking out the Pro-C 2. And one of my favorite things to do when a plugin comes along that has styles is to check out the different styles. And this time we're going to be doing it with sine waves. I find that sine waves are a great way to just probe at things. It's what that's what you use in electrical engineering to figure out how a system responds. So if it's a linear system. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a sine wave. We have our thresholds very low. And you can see we're slamming everything that comes in here. We have the fastest attack, the fastest release. Well, this is on auto, so it's going to adjust. But if we turn this off, we'll get just whatever the fastest is. And we have our ratio as basically a limiter, 100 to 1. Crazy ratio. And I want to show you how cool the hold knob is. But this also reveals a lot about these processes that I think is personally quite informative, especially when you're using a plugin like this. And it's pretty cool. So this is going to invite some of the distortion in, but we're going to hear sort of what it does. So here it is. We're just a sine wave on clean, everything at its most distorted form it can really get to. We see there is some distortion going on here, but it is shockingly low for what we have on here. If we actually turn on auto release, it'll take care of some of it. It just dampens it a little bit. Now let's turn the hold up. The hold will actually pretty much get rid of it. There you go. One of the really, really cool things about hold. Now, hold, what it does is basically it holds when the attack comes up, before it goes to the release stage, it's going to hold it for an amount. So as you bring that back, we're able to do the actual amount that these things have in between them. So the hold comes in handy big time for really, really close attack release times. So let's go ahead. Let's go over to the classic. A lot more distortion. Let's turn off auto just for the rest of this. But auto will basically just slow down the release a little bit according to whatever it's seeing. I don't know what the official algorithm is, but it varies up the release according to the input. We're just going to turn that off so it's just really fast all the time. And then, of course, we bring up our hold. We can pretty much get rid of that. That pretty much holds true for all the modes. So I'm going to leave the hold alone now. So that's classic. Quite a bit more than clean. A bit brighter of a distortion is sort of brought into the sound. Now we'll go for opto. Very nice. Let's go over to vocal. That one's a lot more clean. Vocal has a very, it's just sounded, the distortion was a bit more than I actually anticipated. Just listen to it. Let's compare that against classic. So classic's brighter. Vocal's got this more subdued quality to it. And it's something that I didn't really expect to find in vocal. It's made me, when I'm doing things with drums, look at this a bit differently. Just because it says vocal doesn't mean I'm going to be using it on vocals anymore, especially with that insight. Here's mastering. This one's going to be very clean. And then if we have the auto release on, that probably should take care of almost all of it. To a degree. We'll need to aid it with some hold. How much hold will be necessary? Let's go over here. And mastering probably isn't optimized for such fast attack and release times. That probably wasn't necessarily the idea when they worked on this algorithm. Let's go for bus. I play multiple notes because the distortion isn't going to become apparent necessarily with one note. So when you get more than one, that you really begin to hear it, pops out a bit more. So that's bus. And let's check out punch. got more of a squarish quality to it, and we'll go for pumping. And those are the various styles. These are things that you want to take into consideration. For example, given this information, I have found that pumping, punch, and vocal are ones I really like to mess with when I want to try and get more of a bit of a color out of the compression, if that makes any sense. Where the other ones, if you really want to be transparent, you can go for clean. That's pretty good. But also opto as well as mastering. I find myself tending to use opto most often. The hold is another thing where you can use almost any setting. And this is one reason why I really enjoy pumping and punch. And you can just, dial up the hold to whatever you need. And that's in the cases where you have really extreme attack and release times with coupled with some pretty extreme settings over here, but the fast attack and release are really going to do it. So for example, if we were to set our threshold up a ways and still have a pretty crazy like compression ratio, I don't know, 7-to-1, and we were to have a fast attack and release, that sound would be invited in on the transients. That can add some sharpness to the sound that wouldn't otherwise be there. But there's a couple of just ideas. Hopefully this was pretty informative as far as the various settings which you might pick when and why. I always like to sort of do these sorts of things with plugins that have various styles like this, just so I'm not just randomly clicking. I can click and sort of have an idea of what I'm going for. Other times, they're just experiments. I mean, the happy accidents are always nice when they happen. If you have any questions about this stuff, let me know. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for future videos, and have a blessed day.